expectations are changing because of this college football expansion. We are, just for example, okay, I was listening to, I saw the clip of Hugh Freeze on The Next Round, I think is what it's called. It's an Alabama-based kind of radio station and content production unit and team. And they had Hugh at the SEC coaches golf tournament, had him on the show. And they were asking him kind of like, what are your expectations for this season? And it is a college football playoff expectations. Is that reasonable? And Hugh has to go through this whole rigmarole about how they're just not close enough. They're not quite there. They're not quite there. And then the host of the show looks at him in the face and goes, I expect you to win 10 games and be a college football playoff team this year. What? People pay you money to give sports opinions, and you got that one. That's a really big opinion. I like that opinion. That's a hot take someone call. But that's a dude on a radio station talking like legitimately. What do you think their fan base is out here thinking? I'm sure their fan base has college football playoff expectations. And that's absurd to me. Why is that absurd? Well, we are 14 months removed from Brian Harsin getting shit canned out at that joint. We are 6 months. We're not even 6 months. We're 5 months removed from Auburn wrapping up a 6-7 season in which their offense finished 74th in total points scored. They had 3 SEC wins last year, guys. 3. They won 6 games. They had 3 conference wins. What were those conference wins? They beat Vandy, Mississippi State, and they beat Arkansas. There's some dogs in that list, right? They had an 18-point loss to Maryland last year, a 500 Big Ten team. They had a 21-point loss at home to New Mexico State that everybody laughed about. We all know that. They had a 30-point loss on the schedule to LSU last year. They finished 6th in the West, not in the SEC, finished 6th in the West last year. And Auburn, after that season, apparently has playoff expectations. What? How? What? I know Hugh Freeze is recruited really, really well. But because the schedule's easy and they take the top 11 teams, y'all got playoff expectations? Jay Will, if Auburn has playoff expectations, everybody in the sport in Power 4 should have playoff expectations.
Yeah, the entire SEC might as well just say that we expect to be one of the top 12 teams this year. And especially for Auburn, that's such a bad example of someone that should be wanting playoff aspirations this year because they were very inconsistent last year. You need consistency to be able to reach the college football playoff. And also, like, there's articles right now going about how Auburn really didn't utilize the transfer portal as much as many would have hoped. And that's not a shot at Hugh Freeze and Auburn.
That's based solely off the fact that they did not take a quarterback.
Exactly.
That's it.
And Hugh Freeze has addressed that and explained why they haven't done that because even he, like he mentioned in the radio show, he does not feel like this team is ready to compete for a national title. So, like, if your head coach is saying it, I don't know what other signs you need to know as a fan base to kind of realize what your expectations should be this season. And I understand that opening up to 12 does create more opportunity for 8 other teams, really 7 other teams to get into this playoff, but it really doesn't open it up that much.
I mean, it's funny because, like, we're sitting here talking about these expectations. It's not just Auburn. There are other fan bases that have extrapolated, hey, we're a top 25 program. That means we have a chance every year. No, not really. Not really. It does not every single year. It might mean that you might be able to band it up every once in a while and compete for a top 11 spot. But Auburn is one of these teams that when it's ran right, when it's built right, they do and will have these perennial expectations. And by the way, their coach has already had to throw the water on all these fires of expectations. Not only on this radio show, every time he gets in front of the media, he's like, we are really young. We are really young. We're going to play young people this year. We're young. Every time a coach tells you he's young, he's buying a loss. See what I'm saying? He's buying a loss without the blowback. That's what he is doing. Every time he says that, he is hoping that your expectations just go just a little bit, right? So I wonder what other coaches do you think are having to tell their fan base, like, hey, guys, easy. We're not there. And we might not be there every year.
Wisconsin might be one of these, in my opinion. Yeah. Luke Fickell. I mean, he's in a very similar situation with Hugh Freeze in the sense of this program and this fan base already have high expectations, and they're just itching to get back to being competitive and being one of these bigger teams, especially in the Big Ten. But it still feels like it's pretty distant from getting to that point. But the fan base as a whole, there feels like there's this expectation that success needs to happen right now and right this second, especially with the 12-team playoff, where probably should be spaced out just a little bit more.
Wisconsin's a good call. Penn State is going to feel this way.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, I'm with you. I'm probably with you. You should be a top 11 team every year. So we're there. Who's irrationally here? Maybe like a USC football fan right now. Do you think they're irrational to believe that they should be a perennial top 11 program?
I don't know. It's so hard to get a feel for that fan base and just that program overall, because even when they had Caleb Williams, like over the last 2 years, it didn't feel like that they were like national title, like that's what we're doing this season. Maybe the media pumped that in a little bit, but it never felt like the program as a whole was like pushing for that or really
2 years. The 2022 season, they were that.
Yeah.
2022 going into that year, everybody's like, ooh, maybe USC. And even late in the year, I think they lost to Utah twice to get kicked out of the playoffs. So they were in this range. Now with Miller Moss, I don't know.
Yeah.
But their football program and their fan base probably expect that to be the case. I guess what I'm trying to do is find out where this line of demarcation is of, you're right, fan base. You should expect to be in the top 11 every year. And if you go 2 or 3 years without being there, fire the coach because he's not the one. So where is this line? I think the line would be like USC, yes. UCLA, no. Okay. Ole Miss, probably. Mississippi State, no. Kentucky, no. Right? Florida, yes. Florida State, yes. Miami, yes. Right?
Yeah. What about a team like UNC? Because I could see them.
No.
I could see them. I could see their fan base thinking like, well, we've had this great run of quarterbacks over the last 5 or 6 years, and great quarterback play translates into you being a playoff team and potentially like the ACC being down a little bit. Like if we finally cash in on one of these years, then maybe we could be one of these playoff teams. But they're probably too worried about basketball anyway.
Cash in on one of these years. Yeah. That's the category that all these delusional groups fit in. South Carolina, you're in this. South Carolina, you're right here. Maryland, you're right here. Kentucky, you're right here. Y'all just got to band it together once. That's it. And I think this is great for these programs, honestly, this expansion, right? Because if you're old dipshit that's a Mississippi State fan, who's old buddy? The loudmouth MF. No, he is definitely not a Mississippi State fan. That guy. All right, that dummy. All right, if you're one of these guys, you don't have to sit around and pray to the Mississippi State football guys that Dak Prescott's rebirthed. That's not what you have to do. You just have to pray that you could be elite on one side of the football, that you could junk your way to a 10-2 schedule in the SEC, and then just sneak in. All right, you got to do that once every 10, 12 years. Now, that would be awesome. I mean, that 1 year you get that, oh my God, you feel like you're on heroin. All right, so it will be epic that one time, and then the rest you'll go through the withdrawals like you always do. All right, but those are those groups of teams. I'm still trying to find my way back into these. Who should have LSU, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, what about Tennessee? Where's Tennessee? Because those schools I just rattled off in the SEC, you bet your ass. If you go 2 or 3 years without being in a playoff, you're fired nowadays. Brett Venables, I'm looking at you. If you go 2 more years without a college football playoff appearance, he's probably cooked, right?
Would you say it's better that Josh Heupel didn't make the college football playoff in 2022? Because then there would kind of be this expectation of like, we did it in the 14 playoff. We should be that every single year now.
I think his biggest crutch or excuse, like viable excuse, was Hendon Hooker blowing his knee out. Because if he just loses 2 games in that year and just gets blown out by South Carolina with a healthy Hendon Hooker, and everybody's like, what? Then he really gets looked ugly upon. But since his starting quarterback got hurt, I think he gets automatically a free pass. I don't think he has to ask for one. But yeah, he's probably, with the way that they spend money at Spire right now and the way that fan base spends money currently under the current statutes of college football, probably is under a little bit more pressure than he normally would be.
Yeah, I mean,
but maybe that fan base is that fan base might just expect that.
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think that while there's no more divisions, I think Auburn and Tennessee, those 2 fan bases are just kind of grouped together in the same line of thinking of every year is the year that we're going to get back on top and get back to where we think we should be.
Utah, where are they at in this?
Oh, they got to be. You got to make the playoff,
annual?
Right? I think so. I think
let's stay Big 12 theme because I'm with you. We can keep it short there. What about Oklahoma State? We got to put it together. Just one bunch.
I think it is. We got to put it together because there was 1 year in the college football playoff where you put it together. You just didn't deliver in the Big 12 championship game. You were like a half a yard short or whatever of making a college football playoff. And that was a year where you put it together. You had Spencer Sanders. You had the running back that I'm drawing a blank on. That was really good. You had it that 1 year. Outside of that, Oklahoma State haven't really been in the mix a whole lot.
That one really good running back was from Parkview, too. I should know his name. They're closer to Utah out there in the Big 12 than they are Baylor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Baylor, somehow, whether it be Matt Rule or whether it be through, definitely proven hiding some scandals under the Briles regime. You should look it up. It's pretty ugly. You give me a head nod there. I see that. Yeah, it's pretty ugly what was going on out there at Baylor during their winning regime under Briles.
Yeah.
But anyways, they seem to kind of be one of these, we just got to do what we got to do to get one good team programs. Maybe that's just all of the Texas programs, except for the big one, the big two. Where's Texas A&M on this?
Ooh. Right now, I'm saying don't have these expectations.
But when you're out here spending more money than everybody else, you better expect it.
Absolutely. Under Jimbo Fisher, that would have been fair to have those expectations. It would have been fair to say we should be a top 12 team with the roster we just recruited. I think where we can maybe really draw the line, which actually I'll say it anyways. I think where we can maybe draw the line is what about an Iowa State in the Big 12? Because for me, it's so funny because Iowa State is always one of these teams that is tabbed as this team that you need to look out for in the Big 12. But if you go back and look over since 2017, they've won 7 or more games, no more than 8 since 2006. They've done that 6 times.
Ooh, how's that happen?
I don't know, but every single year I feel like I'm getting pumped in this. Oh, might be a playoff team. This was when it was 4. It's not even this year when it's 12. But everybody feels like that. Matt Campbell, Iowa State, the Cyclones, got to watch out for them. I think that's a team that definitely, and I think that maybe that's where the line is drawn for the Big 12. Or if you're in Iowa State range, don't be expecting playoffs.
Man, all right, you ready? Jealousy right there on my forehead. Okay, you know what's coming. If you want to know how big of a show Josh Pate has, that is the testament right there. People think Iowa State's a good football program, like a perennial, a fringe playoff. Maybe this. You said 7-6 the last 6 years. Know what you just said?
Yeah, basically
7-6 the last 6 years,
or worse.
They've been picked to win the damn playoff by people or get into it. That just shows you how big that Joker's show is. That people think Iowa State is good because he thinks they are.
Have not won more than 8 games over the since 2017. Have not reached a 9-win season, not even a 10-win season.
Love it.
Barely bowl eligible.
And just beating teams they shouldn't, losing to teams they shouldn't too.
Yeah.
Catching an L to Kansas the week after beating Oklahoma. What? Matt Campbell, baby. Turned down $40 million from the Detroit Lions, I believe it was. I think they were going to give that Joker $9 million a year a couple years back.
I think the Lions chose the right Campbell anyways.
Oh, they did. They did. He did not. That should have got his butt up out there. Again, jealousy.
Yeah.
Just write big, big, big letters across this fat forehead every time I talk about that Joker. So y'all just don't say I'm hating. I already told you I'm hating right here. Where are we going next?